Good afternoon. This is Dr. John Bennett, broadcasting from sunny Miami. Today we have the pleasure of having Ayden Jacob. He's a neuroscientist from Berkeley, and he's a early adopter of Hangouts I've known him for a while. We first started doing Hangouts in Nanomedicine. We did it in radiology. He's a medical engineer and clinical innovator, as well as a healthcare analyst and medical technologist. He's editor-in-chief of Journal of Nuclear Medicine and Radiation Therapy. And we welcomed Ayden, and also we have a guest here today. Slaven, would you want to introduce yourself, please, before we turn her over to Ayden?
Hello, my name is Slaven. I'm a medical student at the University of Zagreb in Croatia, and I'm really fond of looking forward to your presentation.
Okay, very good. Welcome, Slaven. Okay, Ayden, it's all yours.
Awesome. John, how's the audio? You hear me okay?
Yeah, they're watching.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be back here with John. John is the leader in internet medicine, so we really appreciate what he's doing, especially in the realm of neuroscience and neurological surgery. I think he's captured a really broad audience to come together, so that's really fantastic. So good on to you, John.
Thank you.
So I wanted to just give a short talk today, primarily on stem cells and the role that they play in somewhat of a different paradigm than what we typically view. So generally in the field of medicine, we look at stem cells as a way to regenerate and rejuvenate burdened tissues and disabled tissues based on their cellular function. So for example, there's a great deal of research within the spinal community and the central nervous system community in which they're looking at how can we utilize stem cells to create molecular and biochemical signals that have been harmed due to injury or debilitation. But there is a different group of researchers which are keenly interested in the harmful effects of stem cells. And that's what I want to speak to the crowd about today. So as we progress into the realm of the cell over the last 10 to 20 years, we've been able to differentiate a homogeneous population of stem cells which exist within the human body. What does that basically mean? Different types of stem cells in different types of organs, and their functions are different. So one of the fascinating types of stem cells that have come to light over the last, I would say really in the last 5 years, is the cancer stem cell. So if we take a step back, and I'm sure most of the neurosurgeons or any surgeons who deal with oncology who have been on your neurosurgical TV, John, they've seen that they spend a tremendous amount of effort with radiation, chemotherapy, and surgery, and they resect the tumor, and then within a given amount of time, the tumor will recapitulate, it will regrow. Now that regrowth represents two main problems in the field of oncology. One is that the regrowth causes the debilitating symptoms that come along with the tumor, and the second one is that the plan of action, the attack, the strategy that was once used to fight the cancer initially doesn't work anymore. It's kind of like in the realm of antibiotics. Once the tumor figures out a way to circumvent the attacks you give to it by radiotherapy or chemotherapy, you need to now invent and fight the cancer with a different strategy, kind of like in war. So what we have been able to do is pinpoint exactly a specific type of cancer stem cell which exists within glioblastoma, which is a brain tumor, one of the most deadliest cancers on earth, with a very grim prognosis for most patients. So what this has allowed us to do is more than pinpoint what is occurring on a molecular and cellular level in terms of the recapitulation of the tumor, but to kind of understand what's going on in the clinic. So what we're seeing is that a surgeon will resect a tumor, And after the resection occurs, we see the tumor come back. And we think, well, we got out, let's say, 98% of the tumor. What is causing or what is enabling this tumor to regrow at such an exponential rate? So there is a community, a niche community within the oncology realm that strongly believes that this is due to what we call the cancer stem cells. So I wanted to just briefly share some basic research that we've done at the University of Oxford in this realm. But before we go into that, I wanted to just see if, John, you want any clarification, or if you guys had any questions about what was mentioned up until now.
Okay. Let me ask Slaven, do you have any questions of Ayden? I don't know why we're having
Sorry,
feedback.
I'm hearing many echo. Yeah, much feedback. I was very interested in the thing that you were talking about, because today's medicine is mostly based on the cell and molecular methods of healing. I'm really fascinating in this whole new realm of things that can be done, and I'm wondering what are your thoughts on the current therapy for glioblastoma multiforme as one of the most deadliest brain tumors. Can you please tell me something about this? The most perspective in the treatment of this.
So, if I understand your question correctly, you want to know about the clinical perspective on glioblastoma?
Right, with stem cells, yeah. Is there any research?
Not cells, but molecular methods of treatment. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So I think there's a whole host of answers to that question, but I think the most prevalent one is immunotherapy. So let's see. The National Cancer Institute in the United States has teamed up with several industry, for example, Kite Pharma, industry leaders that are interested in developing immunotherapy treatment methods for glioblastoma. So what's happened is that we've thrown everything we have at the patient in terms of what we can do to kill this glioblastoma, and we can't. We haven't been able to win it. So now several research facilities, for example, John Yu and Keith Black at Cedars-Sinai. There's a group at UCLA. There's a group in Los Angeles in industry. The National Cancer Institute. They're very interested in learning how to push the human immune system to kill the actual brain tumor itself. So their theory, and they've been pushing into clinical trials, and I think they've gotten over $650 million worth of funding, is can we develop a method in which the human's innate immune system not only finds the brain tumor, but actually kills it. And this is using the patient's own tumor cells. An extremely complex and very innovative method of killing a brain tumor. I think from speaking to colleagues who are much more knowledgeable in the field than I am, they feel that immunotherapy will be the standard care of treatment in the next 20 to 30 years. And again, just like you were saying, that is a molecular mechanism by which we can fight brain cancer. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. You hit the thing I was thinking about. The immunotherapy is this fascinating field that I try to ask you about, and the other question is about spinal cord transection and stem cells.
Slava, could you hold on a second? Let me just comment on something that
Okay.
Ayden said. Now, we had a speaker yesterday, Ayden. I don't know if you probably didn't see him, but he came on late last night. He's a neurosurgeon that's doing research at Hopkins. And they, like you said, they're throwing everything at multiforme glioblastoma. They're throwing chemo, radio, drugs, and it increased the survival rate of 1 year from like 11% to 22%. So, you know, it's such a terrible cancer that they're just making very, very small advances in this area. and I don't think he addressed immunotherapy, and I'm sure there are lots of studies going on, but it's a tough nut to crack. That particular cancer, it's a tough one.
It's very difficult. It's very complicated. I think it's one of the most, maybe pancreatic cancer, but it's one of the most aggressive forms of cancer. Now, these research scientists and physicians who are developing immunotherapy techniques, it's brilliant. And this is one of the ways that biotechnology and basic molecular science will come together to transform clinical medicine, because you'll be able to utilize biotech to obtain the tumor cells from the patient and then harvest them, grow them, and create basically a tumor vaccine that then enables the patient's immune system to now recognize anything with those receptors and those morphological differences as cancer or as foreign. And the immune system tends to do a lot better, God's way or nature's way or what have you, does a lot better at attacking the brain tumor or any type of cancer better than what we're inventing in the lab. So that's quite interesting. So going back to the stem cell issue, is that when we remove the brain tumor, or any tumor for that matter of fact, the tumor inherently has within itself a heterogeneous population of cells, which means if we were to filter out the tumor into different types of cell types, the tumors would produce or show us that they're not created from one singular cell line. That creates a massive problem, because we suppose that each cell line will have different responses to various treatments. And what has enabled us to really delve deep into this is recognizing that there's a group of cells within glioblastoma patients in humans. It's a cell line called G186 or G166, found in a large portion of patients that have glioblastoma, which have the identical characteristics of cancer stem cells. They grow at a much faster rate. They're responsible for the 10 to the 8th growth power of these tumors. They're also responsible for the evasion of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. They're highly resistant, and they have very different mechanisms of regrowth than the typical cancer. So in order for us to develop a true methodology to counteract the, I guess, the terror and the havoc that glioblastoma is causing in the patient's brain, we need to find a way to attack these cancer stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it in a metaphorical way, before you go to war with an enemy, you need to understand the enemy's tactics.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand who they truly are and what they look like. So at this stage, I would say that research is delving into the identity of the cancer stem cell.
Mm-hmm.
Once we're able to pinpoint what that identity truly is, then we can develop novel therapies which will eradicate them.
Mm-hmm.
Some ideas would be to trick them into halting their growth, or to revert them back to a state of, if possible, non-cancer stem cells, or perhaps to revert them to a state of non-stem cell-like differentiation. These are all theoretical, so this is in the realm of theoretical oncology.
Mm-hmm.
There is someone named Jacob Scott, who is currently MD PhD in Florida, and he is a theoretical mathematical oncologist, which is heavily involved in this field and domain. But I think within the next couple of years, we'll see immunotherapy, biotech, neuroimaging all converging on how to treat the glioblastoma, and a portion of that will be focused on the stem cells that are found within it. Because as long as we can remove 99% of the tumor and leave a population of 100 stem cells, the manner in which they're able to regrow is incredible, and the patient will end up having a tumor again. Um, hence the prognosis of
Mm-hmm.
22 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt your question. Flavin, go ahead. You had another question you want to
No,
ask?
I just wanted to comment shortly to that we had a short hangout with Dirwin from Netherlands, if you remember Dr. Bennett, and he was talking about the viral therapy in brain tumors. That was a research that he is
Yeah,
developing, and he is to publish
right.
his results. Very interesting method too of the treatment of gliomas in general, and especially glioblastoma. Uh, I was fascinated with all the methods because this is really the deadliest tumor of today.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I would say the state-of-the-art facility doing viral therapy for glioblastoma is under Dr. Simpson at Duke University. They've published their results, and it's really fascinating. They basically make a viral vaccine, and that enables them to treat the tumor.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
I think you have a new guest online.
Yes, we do. We have Rakesh, a neurosurgeon from India. His connection is not too good. Hey, do you want to continue with what you're talking about?
Well, I'll conclude that in the field of neurosurgery, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time both on the side of, I guess, neurosurgical techniques, but also understanding how tumors function at a molecular and biochemical level. We're moving away from throwing just chemotherapy agents which cause systemic toxicity, and we're moving into an age of either amping up the human immune system to attack the brain tumor, or like what Duke is doing quite amazingly, viral therapy. Both of these are quite promising, and it would be interesting to see two things. One is if they encounter the difficulties of cancer stem cells causing, the regrowth of brain tumors and how they deal with that. And another thing is to utilize various neuroimaging techniques to be able to determine if the tumor is progressing, pseudo-progressing, or if it is just inflammation or edema. So these will be important factors because the underlying methodology by which we can ascertain if a specific intervention being administered is effective um, can be highly accurate if we utilize the right neuroimaging techniques. So we can use ASL, fMRI, BOLD if you want. We can use MRS. Different labs are doing different things. We don't have a clear-cut answer, but it might be the interdependency of these neuroimaging techniques that will eventually show us the prognostic advantage that comes with these various types of interventions.
You know, having a background in nanomedicine, it seems to me that nanomedicine with the imaging of intracellular activities will be the ultimate answer. Once they determine through nanomedicine the exact way that cells function, I think it'll be a huge step in trying to figure out how to stop a cell from developing into a cancer.
Yeah, you
Thank
have
you
a
for
lot of.
a
Yeah,
fascinating talk. Thank you.
yeah, sure, my pleasure. It's good to meet you, John. That's a really good point.
Pleasure. Looking forward to another one.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime, anytime. Yeah, John, that's a good one. That's a whole nother topic we should talk about again.
Yeah, that goes into your other science of nanomedicine. I think nanomedicine holds the key to a lot of what's going to happen in medicine. Now, one thing, you work in California. It seems that the stem cell client out there is very friendly because California has a pretty strong stem cell community.
Yeah.
Do you find that? Do you find that?
Um, I think it's a bioethical. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
So the bioethics of using stem cells is quite intriguing. But the thing that we have to consider here is we're not using embryonic stem cells, so there's no ethical restraint on us. Meaning,
Okay.
we're actually taking So we're in the resection of the patient's tumor. We are retaining a portion of that which we believe might be symptomatic of a cancer stem cell, and then through running microscopic analyses and imaging techniques, we're able to determine if it's a stem cell or not.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not an embryonic stem cell. Now,
Okay.
granted, in California, there's a ton of stem cell institutes. Cedars-Sinai has a massive grant, private grant, in which they started a stem cell and rehabilitation center, which is, incredible what they're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they have to let stem cells off the leash. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
So
I'm sorry. I'll have to leave now, but I was very glad to be here. So I will join in another presentation very soon.
Okay.
Thank you very much again.
Okay, Slaven.
Goodbye.
People come and go. Getting back to basics, Ayden, when you talk about brain tumor stem cells, the stem cells themselves in the brain, they're actually normal and they turn into tumorous brain cells, or do they start as tumorous stem cells in the brain?
Yeah, that's a really good question. During the neurodevelopmental stages, in embryogenesis,
Mm-hmm.
these cells retain the properties of stem cells.
Right.
And how they converge to become cancer stem cells, as opposed to regular stem cells, is a massive question.
Well, that's a big question then. Huh?
It could be deregulation of certain genetic factors,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no clear-cut answer. But it's highly unlikely that the population of regular cancer cells are sending molecular signals to cause within themselves the creation of stem cells. It's much more likely of a theory that the cancer stem cell is what's driving the tumor to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and a large part of the questions is to figure out what if there's a transformation, and if so, how to prevent it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna so we'll be curious to see if these immunotherapy technologies will be able to hit that on the head.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And okay, you see, the future of neuro-oncology innovation, where do you see it? I think you kind of alluded to a little bit about a couple different technologies coming together.
Yeah.
And all developing at their own rate of speed, and somehow coming to an answer through the utilization of all these technologies. So can you more clearly define that? Can you more clearly define that, in your opinion, in your feeling?
So my gut feeling, based on my observations of the field, are as such. The realm of clinical innovation is stunted by the realm of strict academia. It means that people are overly focused on publishing something about a protein as opposed to actually affecting clinical medicine. So the real innovation is going to come from physician scientists and engineers who start with the patient and the clinic in mind and work backwards. That, I think, is fundamental and key. Translational medicine at its finest is when you develop a methodology by which the patient actually changes. Something about the patient's care changes.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, in this particular realm of neuroimaging, I think a couple of things need to occur. One is higher quality imaging resolution in MRI, which is apparently a technology issue which can be circumvented in the future. So not just increasing the Tesla, but being able to increase the ability by which we delineate tumor from non-tumor tissue. Another thing is the inculcation of different neuroimaging techniques to ascertain what's going on within the patient. So if you have a patient with Alzheimer's disease, you'll be able to actually point out precisely where within the frontal lobe is that patient's brain being aberrated and how you can then treat it to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be an innovative space. There's a company in San Francisco called Denali that was just funded with about $300 million backed up by Bill Gates, which is specifically focused on this particular issue. They're going to throw everything they have at imaging and working on the brain, in particular Alzheimer's disease. That's another area in which we're going to see technology and clinical medicine come together. I think just in general, the field of neuroimaging, and it will be pushed a bit further by including physics, engineering, and clinical medicine together to understand the molecular mechanisms of cellular activity in cancer. All right.
Yes, a technical thing. Yeah, it's hard to kind of figure out where we're going. Well, Ayden, I'd like to. Do you have any closing comments, Ayden?
Keep going, John. You rock.
What's that?
I said, keep going. You rock at what you do.
Hey, listen, Ayden, whatever direction you want to go to, man, I think you appreciate this platform, and you're doing a lot of interesting stuff.
Thank you.
Where are you going personally? You going to stay where you're at now, or are you going to go somewhere else? Where are your projects going?
My projects are going to infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond. Okay, that's good. But any particular area where you go, where you're?
Yeah, I started a lot of healthcare research outcomes and neuroscience in particular, but I think in the next 16 months I'm gonna have to make a decision, and I'll definitely keep you up to date on where I end up.
Okay, how's the radiology going?
Cool.
Is that your day job? Is working with radiology at Berkeley, or are you still doing that, or?
No, my day job is now working in industry. I work at a medtech startup.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about that, or that's kind of classified information?
It's a bit classified for now.
Oh, okay. Okay. We'll leave it till next time.
Yeah.
But okay, Ayden. Yeah, I hope you'll be part of everything we do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm tremendously encouraged by the neurosurgical community. We're able to reach out, especially with the foreign neurosurgeons that really like this tech and like being in contact with America, because a lot of people look towards America for research and for neuroscience. And it was particularly good when we had John on yesterday, your buddy. We had an Indian neurosurgeon that kind of held up a banner that they have at their hospital about Curious. It's called the Apollo Hospital System in India, where they do business with Curious, and it was and he just happened to be in the hangout with John, and John loved it. So he said, "Wow," because he's really trying to create inroads, as you know. So anyways, things are going well. So we'll keep in touch, Ayden.
Yeah, John, keep going, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.